Is that thing tail wagging? Corporal Rivera leaned against the burnt-out chassis of a light utility rover, his helmet dangling from his web gear, a half-eaten ration bar clutched in his hand. Out in the middle of the scorched red dirt of Outpost Kilo 9, a 12-foot-tall, four-legged biomechanical warbeast, plated in 2 tons of hyperdense chitin armor and equipped with shoulder-mounted plasma cannons, was sitting dead on its hind legs. Its primary optics were glowing a soft, confused yellow instead of combat crimson, and its massive, 3-pronged tail was thumping against the dirt with enough kinetic force to register on the battalion's seismic sensors. Thump, thump, thump. Standing directly in front of the multi-ton galactic apex predator was Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Mac McIntyre. He wasn't wearing a combat harness. His sleeves were rolled up past his elbows, and in his right hand, he was holding a 3-pound slab of freeze-dried MRE beef brisket. "Good boy," McIntyre grunted, his voice sounding like gravel churning in an iron bucket. "Now, down." The multi-ton war machine let out a low, mechanical whine that sounded like a hydraulic pump losing pressure, dropped its front chassis into the red dust, and rested its terrifying plasma-venting snout 6 inches from McIntyre's combat boots. McIntyre tossed the slab of dried meat into the creature's gaping thermal intake vent. The war beast swallowed it with a heavy clack, let out a contented puff of superheated ozone, and rolled onto its side, exposing its unarmored belly plate to the sun. Rivera blinked, slowly pulling his canteen out. "Gunny, that thing wiped out an entire automated defense turret 10 minutes ago." "Turrets act like a threat," McIntyre said, wiping grease off his knuckles with an oily rag. "This thing ain't a tactical weapon, Rivera. It's a 6-legged hound dog with laser cannons on its back. The bugs just didn't know how to raise it." Episode 5 of the Predator Vanguard's galactic campaign was supposed to be their ultimate strategic trump card. After failing on Earth's oceans, military bases, and mountain passes, the High Command deployed the Krillian assault beasts, genetically engineered biodrones trained for 3 centuries to hunt, kill, and trample planetary populations. They dropped 20 of the massive war monsters straight into the colony's central plaza, expecting screams, shattered lines, and absolute biological carnage. What the Predator Vanguard hadn't calculated was basic animal psychology, and the fact that 300 Marines on a 6-month deep space deployment were severely missing their dogs. When the lead warbeast slammed into the parade deck, roaring through its vocal synthesizer, McIntyre hadn't ordered a tactical volley. He had stopped, looked at the creature's wide ocular lenses, noticed the frantic, overworked cooling vents on its neck, and realized the thing was just overheated, hungry, and confused by its neural headset. He had walked up to it with an MRE beef packet, unclipped the high-voltage neural control collar with a heavy pair of wire cutters, and scratched the soft chitin behind its primary heat sensor. The war machine had been attached to McIntyre ever since. 50 yards away, behind the shattered glass of the Vanguard landing craft, High Overseer Vrak stared through his tactical binoculars in utter, paralyzed horror. His 4 eyes were wide, and his secondary mandibles were trembling violently against his chest plate. His suit AI's comms log was flooding with millions of unparsable status alerts. "Warning! Unit Warbeast Alpha is no longer responding to combat directives. Warning! Unit Warbeast Beta is currently playing fetch with a high-explosive ordnance casing. Warning! Unit Warbeast Gamma is receiving belly scratches from 3rd Platoon. What are you doing?" Vrak's voice boomed through his ship's external speakers, cracking with unscripted panic. "That is a Class 9 apocalyptic war engine. It is bred to destroy organic life." McIntyre didn't even look up from scratching the 12-foot monster behind its secondary cooling fin. "Hey, jackass," McIntyre called out, pointing a thumb at the 6 warbeasts currently rolling around in the dirt, while Marines fed them cantuna and scratched their armor seams. "Next time you build an apex predator, don't give it a spot behind its ears that feels good when you rub it." Vrak raised his personal plasma pistol, his hands shaking so hard the energy beam sputtered wildly against the canopy. "Attack them! I command you to!" McIntyre slowly turned his head, looked at the lead warbeast resting beside him, and pointed a single, calloused finger at the alien ship. "Fetch!" McIntyre said softly. The 12-foot war engine didn't let out a terrifying battle roar. It let out an eager, high-pitched hydraulic whistle, scrambled to its 6 feet with terrifying speed, and sprinted straight toward the landing craft like a retriever going after a tennis ball. Boom! The heavy biomechanical beast slammed its 2-ton armored forehead straight into the ship's primary hydraulic landing gear, snapping the titanium struts like dry twigs and tipping the entire 60-ton alien vessel sideways into a dust trench. Inside the cockpit, Vrak and his bridge crew were tossed into a heap of screaming, chitinous limbs as the ship's primary power core short-circuited in a shower of purple sparks. Vrak scrambled to his feet, slapped the emergency launch override with his broken secondary claw, and initiated an uncalculated atmospheric jump. The ruined landing craft's thrusters detonated in a wild, smoking frenzy, dragging itself back up into high orbit like a beaten hound fleeing a junkyard. Up on the Vanguard dreadnought hovering in deep space, the fleet admiral stared at the incoming telemetry feed. Out of 20 elite bioengineered war monsters, 0 had been destroyed, and all 20 were currently lying in a circle around the marine encampment, snoring loudly while recruits used their warm thermal exhaust vents to heat up their coffee cups. The translation unit on the flagship desk clicked twice, playing the final, frantic audio transmission from Vrak's suit mic. Abort the colony invasion. They do not fight our war beasts. They pet them. They feed them dried flesh. Our most terrifying weapons are now their pets. Retreat immediately. The Praetor fleet didn't attempt a second orbital landing. They didn't deploy their heavy armor. They engaged hyperjump engines at maximum burn, clearing the entire sector from their imperial maps forever. Alien empires spend millennia building bioengineered monsters to conquer the galaxy. But humanity, you drop a giant, terrifying war beast in front of them, and they won't run away. They'll just figure out where it likes to be scratched, hand it a snack, and turn your ultimate weapon into their new unit mascot.